Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this year's National March for Life special presentation and launch of the theme for this year's March for Life. My name is Matthew Wojciechowski. I'm the Vice President of Campaign Life Coalition, and I'm joined today by my team, my colleagues who are also members of the organizing committee. And we also have a very special guest today, Jeannie Mancini, who's the president of the March for Life in Washington, D.C. She will be joining us in just a few moments. Just 2 weeks ago, many of us got to experience, whether in person or watching online, the first ever March for Life in Washington, D.C. in a post-Roe era. We're super motivated and we can't wait to bring that same level of energy and excitement to our own March for Life in the nation's capital this May. So today I am joined by my colleagues from the National March for Life Organizing Committee. We have Debbie Duval, the CLC National Capital Organizer. We got Josie Lutke, who's the Director of Education and Advocacy. We are also joined by a very special friend and Director and Producer, Kevin Dunn from Dunn Media. And we're also joined by CLC's youth coordinators, Maeve Roche and Kim Headley. So Josie, Debbie, we're officially inside the 100 days to go till the National March for Life in May. It's been quite a year, especially since the overturning of Roe v. Wade in the States last June. It's been quite a year here in the Canadian landscape. Josie, what are some thoughts about what we're dealing with?
I think the last year has been characterized by both the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. Obviously, one of the highs would be the overturning of Roe v. Wade south of the border. And I really think that reignited the debate here in Canada, which was awesome to see. But at the same time, our country, just in contrast to the United States, seems to be getting worse and worse. One of those, things that we have to combat is euthanasia. We're seeing the expansion of it, just an explosion. Even the Quebec College of Physicians musing about infanticide. So it really makes it clear that, the devil isn't going to go quietly. We are really going to have to fight very hard. And now is not the time to give up. But we have every reason to show up on Parliament Hill once more to proclaim that we stand for life.
It has been quite a year. I agree with Josie 100%. Not only the legislation that has been proposed, but all the things that are being talked about that are coming down the pipe is a big worry. Not to mention the increase in chemical abortions. Most Canadians are not aware of any of these things. So it's so important that we continue to march and continue to bring awareness to each and every Canadian across the country.
Yeah, and let's not forget that under the current government, pregnancy care centers are still under threat. There's pro-life speech is under threat. So yes, we march for children in the womb every single May, but there's also quite a lot of things we're marching against as well. So we need to keep raising awareness, talk to your friends, your family members, so that everyone's aware of really what is happening in Canada. Josie, you mentioned Roe v. Wade, and I remember last year, the leak had just happened just a few days before our National March for Life. And can you talk about the impact that had on our event last year, but also throughout the rest of the year?
I think so many pro-lifers showed up in Ottawa full of excitement and hope. Like, this was the most momentous occasion for the pro-life movement in the past half a century, and certainly in my lifetime, in the lifetime of many pro-lifers as well. And so we were just so happy to be a part of that and to be marching in our own country. And I think that's definitely motivated all of our efforts over the past year. I think already we were going to see a lot of people come out. We finally had buses back at our March for Life. But I think this probably gave an extra push for those people to come out. And the mainstream media certainly paid attention. We had so many members show up for our press conference. And then even Jagmeet Singh showed up to our March for Life, albeit he was there for the counter protesters. But a lot of people heard the pro-life message, which is awesome.
Debbie?
Yes, last year's March for Life was very exciting. And we had so many people, as you were saying, Josie, with the buses coming back. I was very impressed with all the elder, the younger, everyone who came despite the really, really warm weather. But I think they knew with the Roe versus Wade leak that they needed to come out. They needed to stand up here in Canada for life.
And the good news is this year we are returning to all our in-person events. We have a full week-long roster of events with the March for Life, the Rally on the Hill, the Rose Dinner, the Youth Banquet, the Youth Summit. So I'm really looking forward to seeing all of you back in Ottawa in large numbers. Throughout the year, we have maintained an online presence through one of the more popular, I guess, fruits of all the lockdowns that took place a few years ago. We started the series called Life on Film, where we present new and old pro-life movies, documentaries on our YouTube channel. So Josie, we've been doing these Life on Film series for about 3 years now, and we've had a few really cool movies over the past few months. What else can people look forward to?
Over the past several months, we've been holding monthly Life on Film screenings where we show pro-life films or have conversations about pro-life films, all for free. And we do this to bring pro-life stories to you. And to talk more about this now is Kevin Dunn of Dunn Media, a longtime friend of the National March for Life. He does all of our online content, creating it, producing it, and also broadcasts the National March for Life on the day of the event.
Hey, thanks, Josie. It's good to be back with this Life on Film series. A few weeks ago, I was chatting with Jason Jones of Movie to Movement, and he was reiterating just how important it is that we present pro-life films, documentaries, media into the public sphere, so that we can continually promote the sanctity of life, life issues to the public who don't normally get this kind of programming. So God bless the March for Life for doing this every year, and it's an honor to be assisting you in that. As you know, Josie mentioned, we started doing this in September of last year, at least our new season. I Am Standing for Life was the first that we did. That was a rebroadcast of the roundtable we did. It also ran on the EWTN with the Sisters of Life, Euthanasia Prevention Coalition. Campaign Life was part of that, and Delta Hospice Society. Great piece of a roundtable discussion. And another EWTN special that was co-produced with Niagara Region Right to Life and the March for Life, Fearfully and Wonderfully Made, featuring pro-life champions. Ruth, who was chose life in a crisis pregnancy. Chad, who chooses hope over fear each day in the face of disability. Sister Antonia of the Sisters of Life, and Carol Butler, who runs a crisis pregnancy center in Haldeman, Ontario. Both of these women and their organizations support women through all stages of pregnancy and throughout the babies, right throughout childhood. Post-abortive mothers, the support. So often we get criticized for only caring about the baby until it's born. No, the movement cares, and you can see it in the life and the witness of these women and these organizations who care for mothers and the babies all through their lives, and post-abortive women all through their lives. You can see it, and it's so beautiful to see. The Procedure was another film that we ran from Choice 42. That's Laura Clausen's organization. Millions of views worldwide for this, and we were happy to premiere it on Life on Film. Kevin Sorbo, whose character is featured, he voices the character in this piece. His character had a change of mind. He said, "I will never do that again," and he had a change of action. He quit his job, and you can see this change when people see the reality of abortion. They leave that pro-abortion mindset, and it's quite the encounter. And so, if you haven't seen that, make sure you check it out. We had the honor of running that online. Right now, we're going to have a look at some of the films that are coming up in Life on Film, on the Life on Film series as part of the National March for Life. So let's roll that promo for 2023.
Do a documentary about the abortion industry. It was like a cult, and the brainwashing that happens, and like when you leave, they sue you.
Today you turn 1 month old. I didn't know if I'd ever get to say that. To top off the day, 20 friends showed up at the door for a true surprise birthday party for you. They sang, brought balloons, and a birthday cake. It was beautiful chaos.
Dude, is that your birth mom?
Imagine if you could change society's stance on abortion.
How do you feel about the issue of abortion?
I think in some situations it can be necessary.
So have you just changed your mind about abortion?
Yeah.
Would you ever vote for someone who was for the killing of children in the womb?
No.
Hundreds of unwanted babies are abandoned on the streets of Seoul, South Korea every year.
Tragic loss of life moved the pastor said to set up a way for saving unwanted babies.
So you can see some exciting, some really powerful films that are going to be coming your way in 2023. You saw Unthinkable in January, in conversation with Abby Johnson and Drew Martin about her new documentary, women who are leaving the abortion industry after coming to terms with the reality of abortion and the harm it does to babies and mothers. And in just a few weeks, on February 12th, we have a double feature in conversation with Live Action as we present their new short film, Along for the Ride. And 99 Balloons. It's quite the story, a beautiful story, very sad, but very meaningful life in all its stages, however long, however short. Such a beautiful life to celebrate as they did in 99 Balloons. That's from Igniter Media. And then on March 12th, a very special online screening of the feature film Life Mark. We've done so much talking about the film. And of course, we screened it last year during March for Life Week. This time, we're going to have a national online screening of Life Mark featuring Kirk Cameron. Beautiful story, the real story of David Scotton, played out in dramatic form in this incredible film called Life Mark, which we will be running on March 12th. So mark that on your calendars, 8 p.m. That's the full feature. And we'll do a little rebroadcast of some of the more memorable moments with Kirk Cameron and the Kendrick brothers, the producers of that film. April 2nd, 180, the film. If you haven't seen it, you'll want to be tuning in that night. It's from Living Waters. Mark Spence, the director-editor of the films, he'll give us a sneak preview of What Is It? It's a new film that will be coming out shortly, and you'll get the first sneak peek of it. That's from Living Waters, and that'll happen on April 2nd as we run 180. It's about a half hour long film, but you'll get that sneak peek of What Is It? May 7th, probably the biggest film for us this year, the screening of The Dropbox. It will be online. If you remember that film from a few years ago, if you haven't seen it, beautiful story. You won't want to miss that. That's from Focus on the Family. And we'll just run that trailer for you right now so you know what's coming up in May. The Dropbox. Let's have a sneak peek.
And then I was weeping. I always cry when I'm angry. And she said, "Why are you crying? It's only Orphan."
The baby box is South Korea's first and only box to collect abandoned infants.
Hundreds of unwanted babies are abandoned on the streets of Seoul, South Korea every year.
Tragic loss of life moved the pastor said to set up a way for saving unwanted babies.
위험함 속에서 버려진 아이들이 있고 또 길거리에서 그래서 이제 베이비 박스라는 것을 만들게 됐고
그리고 정말 안 들을 줄 알았어요.
오빠를 왜요?
어떤 아이들은 목사님 이 아이하고 죽으려고 약타났습니다. 예, 그러지 마라. 그러면 너도 오고 애기도 와라. 길이 엄마의 그림입니다. 제 아들을 부탁드립니다. 찾지 말아 주십시오. 죄송합니다. 정말로 죄송합니다.
누구야? 이 길이. 이 길이. 영어 이름은 빅토리.
빅토리.
그래서 그 아이들이 이 세상에 필요 없는 존재들이 아니고 하나님이 쓰시고자 이 땅에 보내셨어요. 여기 이제 가정에 20명이나 한 그 아이들이 좁은 공간에서 많이 살고 있으니까 특별한 공동체가 되는 것은 아버지 어머니가 있기 때문이죠.
또 하지 않는 일, 그리고 버려질 수 있고 또는 나라에서 하지 않고 있는 이런 일들을 하시는.
Even if there's just one person that really cares about children, it makes such a difference.
They're just human beings, just like anyone else. They have the right to live.
이제 이 문제가 한국만의 문제가 아니고 이제 아마 세계적으로 이 아이들이 이렇게 박혀버려서 희생당한 아이들이 많으니까.
But these children, they're helpless, they're voiceless. Who's going to speak for them?
이 아이를 보내면서 다시 한번 내가 헌신을 했어요. 하나님, 이 아이들을 위해서 내가 죽겠습니다. 믿음, 소망, 사랑 중에 세 가지. 그 중에 제일은 사랑이라고 했어요.
So that's the Dropbox. Make sure you mark your calendars. That's May 7th online. Can be a beautiful, beautiful night. We'll have a special guest that night. We'll tell you about that a little bit later. Lastly, before I head out and sign things back off to the committee who do a wonderful job of the March for Life every year, I just want to talk very briefly about our friends at EWTN. I have a wonderful relationship as a producer and host for the National March for Life each year on EWTN. EWTN has said that they will be back and have asked me to produce the show for them. So I will be back this year on the Hill for the rally and the march. We're also talking about broadcasting the Candlelight Vigil and the National Mass for Life on EWTN. So wherever you are across the country, you'll be able to tune in either through EWTN or through the March for Life channel. So please, please, please stay tuned, sign up for updates, and we hope to see you real soon at the at Life on Film, because that's going to be going on right throughout the year, right as a lead up to the March. So right with that, I will throw things back to Matt, and thank you. It's always a blessing to work with a great team at the National March for Life and Campaign Life Coalition.
Thank you for that, Kevin. And thank you for being part of the team in making the National March for Life the best it can be. And also I have to give a shout out to EWTN as well. There's no other news agency, news network that covers the March for Life in Canada, in the States, and all around the world every year, as well as EWTN. So thank you very much to EWTN. And for those who can't make it to Ottawa on May the 11th, make sure to watch the broadcast, whether it's on your television or by going to EWTN.com. So Debbie, like I mentioned earlier, we will be having a full roster of in-person events this upcoming May. I can't wait to see all of you there. But Debbie, can you tell our viewers more about the events and where they will be taking place, when, what time, and what to expect?
Thank you, Matt. Yes, we do have a wonderful week of events. It's really great to have this week-long programming. And as Kevin mentioned, on Sunday, May 7th, we're having the movie, The Dropbox. I can't wait to see that. I'm really looking forward to that. And we have a very new event sponsored. We're partnering with Net Ministries and with the Sisters of Life for a Songs for Life coffee house on Monday, May 8th. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. And hopefully we'll have a lot of people come out and we'll listen to some really great music. On Tuesday, May 9th, Gun Media is bringing an early preview of the film Roe Canada, The True North in a Post-Roe World. And then with that will be a roundtable discussion featuring some of our favorite pro-life advocates. Wednesday, May 10th, we always like to start with prayer, and we start with a mass, and that's followed by a candlelight vigil to the Human Rights Monument. That's where our candlelight vigil will be, and we'll be praying for all the victims of abortion, for the mothers, the fathers, the families, and the babies. And then Thursday, May 11th, well, that's the big day. It's the big day of the march, and we begin again with masses and prayer services across the city at 10 a.m. And then everyone moves up to the hill for the big rally from 12:30 to 1:30 p.m. It's a very exciting time, and we'll have lots of wonderful speakers standing up for life. The march begins at 1:30. It's about an hour or so. We'll be back to the hill at about 2:45 for the all-important Silent No More awareness presentations. These are not to be missed. It's heart-touching, and it really tells the story of post-abortive women and all the hope and healing we have. We'll finish off with the closing prayer service from the Metropolitan Andrei Shepsky Institute. That will close off our programming on the Hill. And after all the events on the Hill, we're very blessed to be able to get together at the Rose Dinner. All of us will be able to chat and visit and socialize. The food will be delicious as usual, and we'll have some wonderful speakers. All of those things will be announced as the weeks and months go on. The other thing that's so exciting is that we're having the youth banquet again this year. So the youth will be right across the hall from the Rose Dinner, and it's wonderful to have them back in the hall. The very next day, on the Friday, in the morning, we have the Youth Summit. This is shaping up to be a wonderful experience for the youth. Again, wonderful speakers, excellent breakout sessions. I think there's delicious food there too. So plan to join us for all of these events. You'll love it, and we look forward to seeing you there.
Thank you for that, Debbie. Again, I cannot wait to go to Ottawa for that full week and enjoy and partake in all those in-person events once again. It truly is a blessing to have all those things back. Kevin mentioned the National Mass for Life. Debbie, you also talked about the various masses and prayer services that will be taking place that week. It's no surprise that faith is a huge element of what we do at the National March for Life and at Campaign Life Coalition. We truly believe that we must remain faithful to the truth, faithful to the gospel of life, do the work that needs to get done, but ultimately at the end of the day, it's up to God to decide. So Debbie, what can you tell us about faith and why faith is so prominent during the March for Life week?
It is. Thanks, Matt. It is. It's the most important thing. We really must stand firm in our faith, stand firm with the Word of God. In Ephesians 6:12, it says that the fight is in the spiritual realm, and that we need to pray in the Spirit on all occasions and all kinds of prayer requests. And that's what the March for Life, and that's what we need to build on. God has asked us to do our part, and that's right. We take our first steps, and the rest is up to Him. We really need to keep the March for Life in prayer. We need to keep all of the people involved in helping out women in crisis pregnancies, working with all of those who are struggling. We need to keep everyone in prayer. We need to pray we need to ask our bishops and pastors and ministers all across the country to continue to keep this in prayer. We need to end abortion. And with prayer, we are going to do that. We know that. So that's why, Matt, we start everything with prayer, as you said, and God will take care of this.
Amen to that. And I would also add that if your church community can't attend the March for Life in Ottawa, maybe because you live in British Columbia or Saskatchewan or Newfoundland, feel free to reach out to us and see how your church community can get involved in the March for Life, whether it's by organizing a Mass for Life or organizing a prayer service for life. It doesn't matter if as long as everyone's praying collectively together for an end to abortion, things will happen because we trust in God and we know that He will respond to our prayers. So one of my favorite events during the week, the March for Life week, is actually the Candlelight Vigil. It's technically the first event of the March for Life experience. Over the years, we've had hundreds of people come out to the Human Rights Monument. And so, Maeve, I'm going to throw this over to you now. You're part of the youth committee organizing the Candlelight Vigil. And what can you tell us about the vigil itself, maybe from your experience in years past, and what people can expect of the vigil this year?
Thanks so much, Matt. Yes. So this annual youth organized prayer vigil serves as a means of bringing us all together in prayer the night before the National March for Life. Our programming typically includes a lineup of powerful personal testimonies. So oftentimes we'll have post-abortive individuals, people who have been hurt by abortion, share their stories. We also have praise and worship music, usually live music. And then, of course, guided prayer, be it a pastor or priest joining us as well. So it's just such a beautiful evening, a great way for us to all connect in prayer the night before the National March for Life in honor of the victims of abortion. As Debbie mentioned, prayer is the cornerstone of our pro-life convictions, so we can't really exclude the divine from our pro-life efforts, as ultimately this battle lays in the hands of God. So I think it's really important that we come together in prayer the night before we stand on Parliament Hill together.
Thank you, Maeve, for that. Once again, I want to encourage all of you, if you are planning on traveling to Ottawa for the March for Life on Thursday, May the 11th, see if you can come by at least the night before so that you can attend the Candlelight Vigil. It truly is a beautiful experience. It's one of my favorite events of the whole week. So once again, think about it, see if you can make it, and we can't wait to see you there. So we're almost at the theme launch. We still have a few more minutes of just talking about some of the other elements of the march, but we will be announcing the theme launch in just a few minutes. But before we get there, I do want to bring on co-youth coordinator Kim Headley to join Maeve to talk a little bit about the youth banquet and the youth summit that is returning on the Friday following the March for Life. It's a full day youth conference. So Maeve, Kim, what can you tell us about those two wonderful youth events?
Thanks, Matt. So just to begin, a few weeks ago, CLC Youth, we actually traveled by bus to march in solidarity with hundreds of thousands of American pro-lifers at their National March for Life in Washington, D.C. Our delegation of 37 youth also had the privilege of attending the National Pro-Life Summit, which is organized by Students for Life of America. Our youth delegation attends this annual trip as a means of re-energizing and getting them to take action in their own communities back home, becoming educated on life issues and pro-life apologetics, as well as inspiring them to become dedicated pro-life activists. All of these goals remain true with our own National March for Life youth banquet and summit here in Ottawa. So we want to energize and mobilize pro-life youth in Canada. We're already hard at work with our dedicated youth committee, making preparations for this year's youth events. So for the first time in 3 years, we will be holding our youth banquet on Thursday, May 11th, as Debbie mentioned, at the Ottawa Conference and Event Center. The evening features an incredible pro-life keynote speaker, a delicious meal, and an opportunity for fellowship with other pro-life youth in Canada. Doors open at 6 p.m. just after the March for Life. And dinner will be served at 6:30 p.m. So it'll truly be a night of education and to inspire young people to take action against the human rights injustice that is abortion. And then the following day, we will be holding our Standing for Life Pro-Life Youth Summit. My assistant youth coordinator, Kim, will now detail what to expect with this incredible event.
So on Friday, May 12th, from 8 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. at the Ottawa Conference and Event Center, the day after the National March for Life Youth Banquet, approximately 500 students and young pro-lifers ages 13 to 29 will attend our 6-hour structured youth summit, intended to educate and inspire. Everyone is invited to attend regardless of religious background. There will be 2 keynote speakers that will give inspiring talks, followed by a question and answer period. We will also have a few breakout sessions. You'll be able to attend 2 of possible options. You can visit marchforlife.ca to see more and learn about our speakers.
Thank you, Kim. This year, we hope to welcome youth from across the country. We are inviting schools, youth groups, pro-life clubs, and individual attendees. If you belong to any of these groups, consider organizing a bus trip this year. To ease the planning of such trip, we have put together a trip planning guide for schools and youth groups. This will be made available on our website at marchforlife.ca to assist you in the planning of your trip to Stand for Life alongside hundreds of other young people. Tickets will also be made available on our marchforlife.ca website in the coming weeks. So be sure to keep a lookout for the updates on those ticket sales. And we hope to see you all standing for life in Ottawa at our youth banquet and summit on May 11th and 12th.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Maeve. Once again, go to marchforlife.ca for all the latest updates on all the youth events taking place that week. So now is the moment we've all been waiting for. I cannot wait to officially announce the theme for this year's 26th National March for Life. Over the years, you may have noticed that we've been turning to sacred scripture for themes. Last year's theme, I am, the great I am. The year before that, you are not alone. So this year, once again, we turn to sacred scripture for inspiration, and we hope it resonates with you, and we hope you enjoy it. So now we will play the official promotional video for this year's National March for Life.
The historic overturning of Roe v. Wade announced to the world, life will win if we stand firm. But the attack on life is far from over. In Canada, 300 babies in the womb are killed each day, increasingly by chemical means, while our Prime Minister muses about making abortion a right. Euthanasia is exploding. And soon, people with mental illness could be eligible to request it to end their lives. And now, infanticide is being considered for children with severe disabilities. If there was ever a time to stand firm for life, that time is now. On May 11th, Canadians from all walks of life will come to Parliament Hill to stand firm for babies in the womb, for mothers in crisis pregnancies, for those living with a disability, for the elderly in hospitals and care homes. Life will win if we stand firm.
Stand firm. That is the theme of the 26th National March for Life. So, Josie, what can you tell us about the theme, why we came up with it, and why it's so relevant, especially today in Canada?
Well, Matt, stand firm is from Ephesians chapter 6, verse 14. Stand firm, therefore, having belted your waist with truth and having put on the breastplate of righteousness. We thought it was a very appropriate theme for the time and place that we're in. With Roe v. Wade having just been overturned, we're expecting a backlash, and we've already seen some of that backlash. So stand firm is a rallying cry to dig in our heels and brace for impact as we see the push for quote unquote self-managed abortions through chemical means, as we see the attacks on crisis pregnancy centers, as both Joe Biden and Justin Trudeau call for abortion to be considered a right. And as we mentioned before, euthanasia just exploding across the country. We are prepared for this onslaught, and we're linking arms just to be ready for it. Stand firm is also a call to be strong for those who are weak, to not stand on the sidelines, but rather to defend the vulnerable. Of course, that includes the preborn, but also mothers experiencing crisis pregnancies, people living with disabilities, and the elderly. Stand firm is also a recognition that with the success of the overturning of Roe v. Wade, there will be a temptation to concede or make compromises in order to get another bit of this taste of success. And so stand firm is a promise not to cede 1 inch of ground. We will remain principled in standing for life from conception to natural death without exception. And finally, stand firm is also a reminder to put on the armor of God, to spiritually fortify ourselves with truth, justice, and faith, to meet the violence of abortion with a gospel of peace, and to recognize we're not just fighting for lives here, but we're also fighting for souls.
Thank you, Josie, for that wonderful explanation of this year's theme, Stand Firm. Now, standing firm is something our neighbors, our brothers and sisters south of the border have been doing for a very, very long time. Just 2 weeks ago, we mentioned this. They marched for the 50th time in their nation's capital in Washington, D.C. And we're just so honored to have Jeannie Mancini, our special guest today, who is the president of the Washington March for Life Education and Defense Fund. She's here with us today to chat about her experience 2 weeks ago and just everything that's happening south of the border. So, Debbie, I'm going to throw it over to you, and I can't wait to hear what Jeannie, what you have to say.
Okay, well, welcome, Jeannie, and thank you for joining us today for the theme launch of the Canadian National March for Life. From one organizer to another, I'm sure you are ready for a vacation after such a successful march. I know how it feels, but on this end, we're just ramping up, so we're just doing all that work. I wasn't able to attend the march this year in Washington, but I caught some of the coverage and it was really great. The amount of people who march just always shocks me. And the large stage and the Jumbotron and the music, we are very restricted in Canada here for what we are allowed to put on the Hill. Do you have any restrictions there in the States? Are they pushing you against that?
Well, first of all, thanks, Debbie, for having me. And I'll certainly be keeping you in my prayers as you all are working towards the fulfillment of your march. We do have many restrictions. So we work really closely with the National Park Service and then the DC Police and the Capitol Police. And we start working with them a year in advance. They're usually pretty good about letting us have the stage and sound that we want, but there might be certain regulations like the sound equipment needs to be turned a certain way, or we might have to provide flooring depending on how many people are there, a certain amount of porta pots or, first aid tents, et cetera. So there are many policy hoops that we need to follow through on, but they're really quite great to work with. And this year in DC, the police presence was like it's never been before. They wanted to make sure that they were keeping us marchers safe. And I, for one, am really grateful.
Wow, that's really great. Yes, we also work with our police and the parliamentary security group, but we are very restricted to the equipment we're allowed to bring up there. So, as the president, how was your first post-Roe march? Would you say it was any different?
Oh, yes. The enthusiasm of the marchers was certainly palpable. What a monumental victory for the overturn of Roe. Of course, the March for Life began as a result of Roe, which legalized abortion in the United States through all 50 states. And so there were a lot of questions this year about, should we still continue to march? And as the staff and the board of the organization, we did some pretty deep discernment about that question and our mission and the timing and all of those kinds of things. And it was beautiful to see all of that really confirmed in the march this year. It was bigger than I've seen for probably the last 5 years, believe it or not. One of the biggest marches I've ever seen. And I wasn't necessarily expecting that. And, but I was expecting the young people and the enthusiasm, and that really, came just tremendously. And I mean, of course I'm biased, but I think we had the best speakers ever this year. But I actually really do think that. I don't just say that. I mean, they really just were so deep and profound, and had, either just really inspired words to share with the marchers or themselves just by who they were such a testimony to the inherent dignity of the human person. So I'm just beyond grateful to God and to all of the marchers after this 50th March for Life.
Wow, that is incredible. And I know you don't count anymore, but is there an estimate?
Well, you're right. So the National Park Service used to do crowd estimates, but they got out of that business when there was a lawsuit after what was called the Million Man March in Washington, D.C., and they estimated that under 1 million men attended. So we try to work with them to get a crowd count, but we don't. I mean, I could tell you it's bigger than recent years. We don't have data points yet. We typically are able to follow up with our metro system and then our bus permitting system, and then also a few different avenues. For example, some of the big events that are happening. So just from my quick look at it, and now we've got this, state march program. So I feel like we're making these guesstimates quite frequently. I thought that at least at the rally, I'd say there were a good 15,000. And at the rally, we get a smaller number, and then it's much larger for the march itself. And I know that it was, I think, just under 2 hours from the beginning marcher to the end marcher, shoulder to shoulder, passing that final point. So take that as you will, but I think it was, maybe 100,000 or so. I mean, really big crowd. We typically get about 100,000. We hear some wild estimates like 500,000, a million. Those are probably a little bit exaggerated, but 100,000 every year is no small amount of people in Washington, D.C. We certainly shut down the city that day.
Wow, that is a feat. And I have to say, I was very blessed to attend in 2019. Wow, that was an incredible experience. And every year we send people from Campaign Life and from our provinces to the Washington March for Life. And so this year we sent about 40, including some staffers, 40 youth, including some staffers. We check it out. We might get or steal some great ideas to make our march even better. And so our 40, our group of 40 had a really fabulous experience. You must be very impressed, though, with the amount of youth that I saw there on the coverage, the amount of youth that are attracted to the march and are active in the pro-life movement.
Oh, absolutely. It's probably the most positive thing every year. And the thing that people comment about more than, especially first-time marchers, more than anything else is the sheer volume of young people. So most participants in the march are under the age of 25, I'd say, and they have quite creative signs and T-shirts and hats. I mean, they're very their joy and their enthusiasm is really contagious and very inspiring to those of us who might be a few decades older.
So with the abortion debate back in the individual states, I noticed that there were several states that had their own marches. We've always encouraged marches across Canada in our different provinces because, of course, not everybody is able to travel to the capital, to Ottawa. Can you tell us, and I know you sort of alluded to this already, but can you tell us why it is still so important to gather in the nation's capital every year for the National March for Life?
Oh, absolutely. There are a few reasons for that. So, and I'd love to just talk a little bit more about our State March Initiative. But so with the overturn of Roe, well, okay, there's so much I want to say here. So I mentioned before that when Roe v. Wade came down in the U.S. in 1973, it legalized abortion in all 50 states. But you fast forward 50 years later, and the overturn of Roe does not make abortion illegal, or even more importantly, unthinkable in our country. What it does is it just returns the question of pro-life protections to the American people through their elected officials. But that's both at the state level and the federal level. It's not just at the state level, and there's a fair bit of confusion around that here in the US. But states do enjoy a lot more freedom than they previously had. So even like the case that went before the Supreme Court was a 15-week life protective law from Mississippi. And now they're able to enact that law, whereas prior to Roe v. Wade being overturned, that was unconstitutional. So there is a lot more freedom. But anyway, so why do we still need to keep marching in the Capitol? Well, for starters, I mean, we have many federal pieces of legislation that are coming down the pike that are really critically important. So that could be anything from appropriations battles, and included in our appropriation process every year is the Hyde Amendment, which prohibits taxpayer funding for paying for abortion. It's arguably the most impactful pro-life policy ever in the US, saving well over 2 million babies. So that's something that we'd lose right away if we stopped battling for at the federal level. But there are also even more I don't want to say more nefarious, because that would be pretty bad if we lost that, but other, bills that are concerning. So for example, right after Dobbs came down, the Senate voted on something called, sounds great, Women's Health Protection Act. Unfortunately, it's not as great as it sounds. In fact, it's really horrific. And it would have allowed abortion on demand through all stages of pregnancy and paid for by tax dollars. So it would most likely probably end up in the courts, but do away with all the good state protections that have been put into place. So legislatively, there's very much need to still march. But even more importantly is the question of changing hearts and minds. So this was our 50th March for Life. And while we never anticipated that Roe would stay on the books this long, we also didn't anticipate that we would become the largest, longest running annual human rights demonstration worldwide. And sadly, the human rights abuse of abortion is still, very active in the United States. We anticipate over 700,000 abortions in the year ahead, which is so sad. And so why would you stop the human rights protest that has become so fruitful and so big and, stop it right in the middle of the problem not being solved? So it wouldn't make any sense. So we will continue to march in January around the anniversary of Roe, and we'll continue to fight for those federal, good bills, life protective bills, but also just to work even more towards the day when abortion is unthinkable in the United States.
So we have very similar issues here. Many bills passed that look good on the surface, but are horrific.
Yeah.
And so we have to continue marching as well. So you saw our video announcing our theme, Stand Firm. What comes to your mind when you think of Stand Firm?
Oh, it's such a great theme, just in the sense that even how can I say? Okay, so to walk away from something, you lose a voice. So just to stay strong, even if you're not necessarily proactively moving in a certain direction, but just standing straight in one place, it implies perseverance, and so much bad stuff won't be able to happen because of that. Literally you just have a picture of like someone standing there and as a barrier to nefarious things happening. So it's also very scriptural. If you look at Ephesians 6, it's all about standing firm, against the wiles of the devil. And it's true. That's what we're called to do, is to persevere in this battle by God's grace. Sometimes that will require a little bit more active participation in the battle for a culture of life. But sometimes the most important step is just to be firmly planted where you are and not move, not budge, basically, not budge. And that's what I think of when I think of stand firm.
That's exactly right. And that's where it has come from, of course, Ephesians 6:14. And we do have to stand firm with the truth, because we know we have the truth. So that's what we're doing this year, every year, and we will continue doing it as well. Yeah. As Canadians, or many Canadians across the country watching this today, and as you mentioned, you've been marching for 50 years and you persevered and persevered. Well, this will be our 26th march as well. So
congratulations. Amazing.
Thanks. Thank you. And in Canada, it's like the 10% rule with the United States. So if you have 100,000, we always hope for at least 10,000.
Wonderful.
And marching, and we've met that many times. Actually, we were up to 26,000 one year, I think, with the again, just an estimate count. And so in the last couple of years, due to the situation, our numbers have gone lower, but we're really hoping to come back again this year. So do you have any final comments for us going forward? How we can stand firm to protect life? Any other further comments?
Well, I love to hear of everything happening. And of course, you really do have your battles cut out for you in Canada. We both have, we have unique battles, but I guess I'd like to just thank you, the organizers. I know how much work goes into this, and that sometimes there can be a realm of spiritual warfare as well. And to really just applaud you for continuing to stand firm all these years, and just know of our solidarity and our prayers for you.
Well, thank you. It's we have an incredible team, as I'm sure you do, because of the very many moving parts of the March for Life and our week-long events. So yes, and we also continue to pray for you, and we're always blessed when we get to go there and get to watch the footage. It's wonderful. So thank you as well. And I just want to thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your information with the Canadian people and your hope. And we thank you too for standing firm for protecting life from conception to natural death. Thanks so much, Jeannie.
Well, thank you.
Always great to hear what's going on south of the border. Back to you, Matt.
Thank you, Debbie, and thank you, Jeannie, for joining us today. Well, that's about it. That's our show. We've announced the theme, Stand Firm. We got to speak to our very special guest, Jeannie Mancini, and we hope we've informed you of all that is happening for that 1 week long schedule of events for the March for Life. So please save the date, May the 11th, 2023, for the Rally on the Hill and the March for Life. But go to marchforlife.ca for the latest updates, for the full schedule that starts from Monday all the way through Friday. Get your churches involved, get your schools involved. If you want to organize a bus for your church group or school, go to our website. We will be posting information online as soon as we get it. What else? Make sure to subscribe on our marchforlife.ca website to receive email notifications. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/marchforlifecanada, to receive latest notifications as soon as the video goes up, especially for our Life on Film series. We have a film coming up in just a few weeks. And we cannot wait to see you on May the 11th. But of course, throughout that whole week, we can't wait to see you. Hopefully, many of you will show up to Ottawa. And if you can't come to Ottawa, please, please, please support your regional marches that take place throughout the country in the various provinces. So I guess that's a wrap. So Debbie, Josie, Maeve, and Kim, thanks for joining me. Kevin, thanks for being here with us today. And we can't wait to see you in our nation's capital on May the 11th. Take care and God bless.
The historic overturning of Roe v. Wade announced to the world, life will win if we stand firm. But the attack on life is far from over. In Canada, 300 babies in the womb are killed each day, increasingly by chemical means, while our Prime Minister muses about making abortion a right. Euthanasia is exploding. And soon, people with mental illness could be eligible to request it to end their lives. And now, infanticide is being considered for children with severe disabilities. If there was ever a time to stand firm for life, that time is now. On May 11th, Canadians from all walks of life will come to Parliament Hill to stand firm for babies in the womb, for mothers in crisis pregnancies, for those living with a disability, for the elderly in hospitals and care homes. Life will win if we stand firm.